Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Design of concrete structure MCQs. In Park MCQs, the property of the ingredient to separate from each other while placing the concrete is called segregation. Approximate value of shrinkage strength in concrete is 0.0003. Workability of concrete is directly proportional to the grading of the aggregate. The relation between modulus of rupture FCR, splitting strength FCS and direct tensile strength FCI is given by FCR is greater than FCS and FCS is greater than FC. Strength of concrete increase with increase in fitness of the cement. As compared to ordinary Portland cement, use of pozzolanic cement increase shrinkage. According to IS 456-1978, the modulus of elasticity of concrete EC in Newton per meter m square can be taken as EC is equal to 5700. The most commonly used admixture which prolong the setting and hardening time is gypsum. The strength of concrete after 1 year as compared to 29 days strength is about 20 to 25% more. Admixture which cause early setting and hardening of concrete are called accelerator. Increase in the moisture content in concrete is reduce the strength. The relation between modulus of rupture FCR and characteristic strength of concrete FCK is given by FCR is equal to 0.7 VF7. The approximate value of the ratio between direct tensile strength and flexural strength is 0.5. Air environment in concrete increase workability. Workability of concrete is inversely proportional to time of transit. The property of fresh concrete in which the water in the mix tend to rise the surface while placing and compacting is called bleeding. To determine the modulus of rupture, the size of test specimen used is 150 × 150 × 700 mm. The percentage of void in cement is approximately 40%. Modulus of rupture of concrete is measure of flexural tensile strength. In order to obtain the best workability of concrete, the preferred shape of aggregate is rounded. As compared to ordinary Portland cement, high aluminium cement has a higher initial setting time but lower final setting time. Bulking of sand is maximum if moisture content is about 4%. 1% of void in concrete mix will reduce its strength by about 5%. Final grinding of cement affect only the early development of strength. Poisson ratio for concrete is increased with richer mixes. The factor of safety for steel is lower than that for concrete. The fitness modulus of fine aggregate in the range of 2.0 to 3.5. The compressive strength of 100 mm³ as compared to 150 mm³ is always more. If a beam fell in bound then its bond strength can be increased most economically by using thinner bar but more in number. If the depth of the actual neutral axis in a beam is more than the depth of critical neutral axis, then the beam is called our reinforced beam. If the permissible stress in steel in tension is 140 Newton per meter and meter square, then the depth of neutral axis for singly reinforcement rectangular balance section will be 0.40 d. Minimum grade of concrete to be used in reinforced concrete as per IS 456 978 AM15. Maximum quantity of water needed per 50 kg of cement for M15 grade of concrete is 32 liters. For concreting of heavily reinforced section without vibration, the workability of concrete expressed as compacting factor should be above 0.92. In case of hand mixing of concrete, the extra cement to be added is 10%. The individual variation between test strength of sample should not be more than plus minus 15% of average. For wall of column and vertical faces of all structure member, the form work is generally removed after 24 and 48 hours. For wall, column and vertical faces of all structure member, the form work is generally removed after 24-28 hours repeated. One of the criteria for effective width of flank of T-beam is BF plus minus WB is 6DF and 6 in above formula 10 significant distance between point of zero movement in the beam. For continuous slab 3 meter multiplied by 3.5 meter size, the minimum or all depth of slab satisfy vertical deflection limit is 75 mm. For a cantilever of effective depth of 0.5, the maximum span to satisfy vertical deflection limit is 3.5 meter. Diagonal tension in beam increase below the neutral axis and decrease above the neutral axis. According to IS 456-1978, the column at the strut is the member whose effective length is greater than 3 times the least lateral dimension. For the simple supported beam of span 15 meters, the minimum effective depth to satisfy the vertical deflection limit should be 750 mm. According to IS 456-1978, minimum sandness ratio for short column is less than 12. This is important MCQs. The minimum cover in slab should neither be less than the diameter of bar nor less than 15 mm. The ratio of diameter of reinforcement bar and slab of thickness is 1/8. The percentage of reinforcement in case of slab when the high strength deformed bars are used is not less than 0.12. For longitudinal reinforcement bar in column, the minimum cover shall neither be less than the diameter of bar nor less than 40 mm. Lap length in compression short not less than 24 J. Lap length in compression should not be less than 24 J. According to IS 456-1978, the flexible strength of concrete is directly proportional to the square root of compression strength. According to 456-1978, the maximum reinforcement in a column is 6%. Which of the following statement is incorrect? The number of longitudinal bars provided in circular column should not be less than 4. Minimum pitch of transverse reinforcement in column is lesser than the above three values. A continuous beam is deemed to be deep beam when the ratio of effective span to our all depth 1 over d is less than 2.5. Minimum thickness of load-bearing RCC wall should be 100 mm. In reinforcement concrete footing on soil, the minimum thickness at edge should not be less than 150 mm. The slab is designed as one way if the ratio of long span to short span is greater than 2. If the story height is equal to length of RCC wall, the percentage increase in strength is 10B. Critical section for shear in case of flat slab is at distance of d by 2 from periphery of column capital drop panel. The average permissible stress in bond for plain bars in tension is increased 25% for bar in compression. Maximum distance between expansion joint in structure as per IS 456-1978 is 45 meter. A higher modular ratio shows lower compression strength of concrete. Ratio of permissible stress in direct compression and bending compression is less than 1. In working stress design, permissible bond stress in case of deformed bar is more than that in plain bar by 40%. Half of the main steel in simple supported slab is bent up near supported at distance of x from the center of slab bearing where x is equal to 1 over 7. If the size of panel in a flat slab is 6 meter multiplied 6 meter, then as per Indian standard code the width of column strip and middle strip are 3 meter multiplied by 3 meter. The permissible diagonal tensile stress in reinforcement brick work is about 0.1 Newton per meter square, which when stress exceeds the permissible limit in slab, then it's reduced by increasing the depth. The main reason for providing number of reinforcement bar at support in a simple supported beam is to resist is that zone bond stress. The limit of percentage P of the longitudinal reinforcement in column is given by 0.8% to 6%. The minimum cover to the ties or spiral should not be less than 25 mm. Maximum percentage reinforcement in case of slab is limited to 4. The diameter of ties in column should be more than 5 mm and also more than 1 over 4 diameter of main bar. The main diameter of longitudinal bar in a column is 12 mm. For the design of retaining wall, the minimum factor of safety against overturning is taken as 2.0. The load carrying capacity of helically reinforcement column as compared to that of tight column is about 5% more. Due to the action of spiral in spirally reinforcement column, both the capacity of column and ductility of column increase. Which of the following RC retaining wall is suitable for height beyond 6 meters? Counter fort type. Which of the following RC retaining wall is suitable for height beyond 6 meters? Comfort type. The temperature reinforcement in the vertical slab of a T-shaped RC retaining wall is provided more on front face than on inner face. For a slab supported on its four edge, which corner held down and loaded uniformly, the Marcus correction factor to the moment obtained by Graf-Rankine theory is always less than 1. Modulus of elasticity of steel as per IS 456 1978 shall be taken as 200 kN per meter square. 200 kN per meter square. If the depth of neutral axis for singly reinforcement rectangular section is represented by KD in working stress design, then the value of K for balanced section depend on S only. If normal shear stress Tv exceed the design shear strength of concrete XC, the normal shear reinforcement as per IS 456 1978 shall be provided for carrying a shear stress equal to XV minus TC. For reinforcement concrete section, the shape of shear stress diagram is parabolic above neutral axis and rectangular below neutral axis. The main reinforcement in a heel of T-shaped RC retaining wall is provided on top face perpendicular to wall. In counterfort retaining wall, the main reinforcement in the stem at support is provided only on inner face. In a counterfort retaining wall, the main reinforcement in the stem at mid-span is provided on front face only. T-shaped retaining wall mainly consists of 3 cantilever. To minimize the effect of differential settlement, the area of footing should be designed for dead load plus fraction of low load. In a pill of length, the point of suspension from ends for lifting it are located at 0.2071. While designing the pill as column, the end conditions are nearly one end fixed and other end hanged. The critical section for finding maximum bending moment for footing under masonry wall is located halfway between the middle and edge of the wall. If the foundation of all the columns of a structure are designed on the total load and dead load basis, then the settlement of exterior column will be more than the interior column. During erection, the pill of length is supported by the crane at distance 0.7071. According to IS recommendation, the maximum depth of stress block for balanced section of beam of effective depth D is 0.43 D. The centroid of compression force from the extreme compression fiber in limit state design lies at a distance of 0.416 XU. The load factor for low load and dead load are taken respectively as 2.2 and 1.5. The load factor for for live load and dead load are taken respectively as 2.2 and 1.5. According to Whitney theory, ultimate strain of concrete is assumed to 0.3%. Assertion A. The load factor for live load is greater than that for dead load. Reason R. The live load are more uncertain than the dead loads. Both A are true and R is the correct explanation of A. The design yield stress of steel according to IS 456/1978 is 0.87 feet year. 0.87 yield stress. According to Whitney theory, depth of stress block for balanced section of a concrete beam is limited to 0.537 d. As per Whitney theory, the maximum moment of resistance of the balanced section of a beam of width B and effective depth D is given by ACYBD2. B answer is correct. Due to shrinkage stress, a simply supported beam having reinforcement only at bottom tend to deflect downward. A beam curved in a plane is designed for bending moment, shear and torsion. In a spherical dome, the Hop stress due to a concentrated load at crown is tensile everywhere. In pre-stressed concrete, force of tension and compression remain unchanged, but lever arm changed with the movement. Normally, pre-stressing wire are arranged in the lower part of the beam. Which of the following losses of pre-stress occur only in pre-tensioning and not in post-tensioning? Elastic shortening of concrete. Which of the following has high tensile strength? This is good question. Cold drawn wire. Cold drawn wire has high tensile strength. Stress strength curve of high tensile steel does not show defined yield point, but yield point is defined by 0.2% proof stress. Cube strength of controlled concrete to be used for pre-tensioned and post-tensioned work respectively should not be less than 42 MPa and 35 MPa. Ultimate strength of cool drawn high steel wire decrease with increase in diameter of bar. High carbon content in the steel cast increase in tensile strength but decrease in ductility. Pre-stress loss due to friction occur only in post-tensioned beam. Most common method of pre-stressing used for factory production is long line method. The purpose of reinforcement in pre-stressed concrete is to impart initial compression stress in concrete. The maximum value of Hop compression in a dome is given by WR/2D. In spherical dome subjected to concentrated load at crown or uniformly described rod, the Meridional force is always compressive. In symmetrically reinforcement sections, shrinkage stress in concrete and steel are respectively tensile and compression. The effect of creep on modular ratio is to increase it. The recommended value of modular ratio for reinforcement brickwork is 40. The T-shaped RC retaining wall, the main reinforcement in the stem is provided on the inner face in one direction. Select the correct statement. Elastic modulus of high tensile steel is nearly the same as that of mild steel. Select the incorrect statement. None of these all are correct. Lean mix bleed more as compared to rich one. Bleeding can be normalized by adding pozzolana finer aggregate. Bleeding can be increased by addition of calcium chloride. The effect of adding calcium chloride in concrete is both A1 and 4 to increase shrinkage, decrease setting time. Examine the following statement. Factor of safety for steel should be based on its yield stress. This is correct. Factor of safety of concrete should be based on ultimate stress. Concrete on ultimate and steel on yield. In counterfort type retaining wall, the vertical slab is designed as continuous slab. The heel slab is designed as continuous slab. Both are. These two are answer. The main reinforcement in the toy of a T-shaped RC retaining wall is provided on the bottom face perpendicular to the wall. 4 is correct answer. The counterfort retaining wall, the main reinforcement is provided on the bottom face in front counterfort, inclined face in black counterfort. In the design of front counterfort in a counterfort retaining wall, the main reinforcement is provided on the bottom face near counterfort, top face near center of span. The correct answer is 1 and 4. C. The depth of footing for an isolated column is governed by all of these: maximum bending moment, shear force, punching shear. Shrinkage of concrete depend upon humidity of temperature and passage of time. Both of these two, shrinkage of concrete depend on humidity of atmosphere and passage of time. Shrinkage of intermediate support of continuous beam depend on reduce the negative moment at support and increase the positive moment at center of span. B answer is correct. In ring beam subjected to uniformly distributed load, shear force at mid span is 0 and torsion at mid span is 0. In ring being subjected to uniformly distributed load. Shear force at mid span is 0 and torsion at mid span is 0. Select the incorrect answer. All are correct. Select the correct statement. Elastic modulus of high tensile steel is nearly the same as that of mild steel. This was the last question of design of concrete structure. All the best. Love.